This week, the Truck Series heads west to Iowa. Just outside of the state's capital city. Some of racing's top competitors, both young and old, prepare to go short track racing.
We are green.
Not wasting much time getting to the point. They're side by side.
Eric Jones wins his fifth victory in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series.
Today, who will take home the trophy in the Hawkeye State?
Welcome to the Heartland for race number 8 of the season. NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Racing from Iowa, presented by Shell Rotella. This is a race normally won from the front of the pack. Timothy Peters hopes to defy the odds tonight. The two-time Iowa winner starts 19th. William Byron is quickly becoming a Truck Series star. Just an 18-year-old rookie and already 2 wins this season. He has number 3 in sight tonight. Cameron Haley continues to knock on the door. He's been so close before. Tonight, he starts on the front row, seeking his first career win. They'll all be trying to outrun John Hunter Nemechek on pole for the first time in his career and gunning for a return to victory lane. We'll start in daylight and finish under the lights. The setting is perfect for racing here in Iowa.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Iowa National Guard presents our nation's colors. At this time, we ask that you please join us in a moment of silence as NASCAR and Iowa Speedway honor those who lost their lives in the tragic event in Orlando, Florida. Please remain standing as Chaplain of Iowa Speedway Ministries Brian Keaton offers tonight's invocation.
Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this beautiful day you've given us today, Lord, and for this great night tonight. Thank you just for the opportunity to be here, Lord. We thank you for the freedoms that we have in this country, Lord, and we want to honor tonight our servicemen and women who have served, Lord, today and in the past, and those that paid the ultimate price that we enjoy the freedoms that we have today. Lord, above all, please keep each and every one of these drivers safe tonight, Lord, that you would protect them and help them to do the very best that they can, and that you would receive all the glory and the honor. We thank you. We ask this all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please welcome Patriots music performance team of the 34th Army Band, Iowa National Guard out of Fairfield, Iowa, as they perform our national anthem.
We've had 5 different winners in 7 races. Will someone new add their name to that list tonight? Racing from Iowa, next. Welcome back to Iowa Speedway, NASCAR Camping World Truck Series action. 32 trucks, 200 laps, 7/8 of a mile. All ingredients for a great race tonight. Can't wait to bring it to you. Race number 8 of 23 on the season. We've had 5 different winners in 7 races, and there are a lot of names on the list that hope to be putting their name on that list here tonight. Good evening and welcome, along with Michael Waltrip and Phil Parsons. I'm Vince Welch. Michael, we practiced in the daylight twice. We qualified in the daylight Now we're going to race under the lights. How's that going to affect the show?
Well, the drivers have been preaching to their crew chiefs, I can't turn in the center. My truck won't get through the middle of the corner. We've got a lot of speed on this short track. You go flying in the corner, it's a sweeping entry, but at some point, Phil, you got to get all that mass heading the other direction. So the crew chief has been working so hard for his driver to get the front wheels to cut. And in the sunshine, the track is slick, and the front tires won't cut, and they just can't get it to work, but they keep trying. So I'm telling you, the sun's down now, the track's going to grip up, and the front tires are going to start sticking, and that means the back end will be swinging out from underneath these guys. It's going to be intense with all the speed we have in these tight turns.
And you know, Michael, historically, where you start here is very, very important. We've never had a guy start farther back than 11th and win this race. As you can see right there, 4 of our 9 races were won from the pole, 6 of them from the front row. Our average starting position of the winner, 3.5. But we've got a few guys really back out of the side of that top 10. One of those, Tyler Reddick. He starts back in the 15th spot, 2-time winner last year, second in points. He's all the way back in 15th. How about Daniel Suarez, the kid that won the race, the Xfinity race at Michigan, by beating Kyle Busch last week? He starts back in the 17th position. He has 4 second-place finishes in this series. And how about Timothy Peters? He's won at this very racetrack twice. He starts back in the 19th spot. You can get up front if you start back at the back, but historically we haven't been able to win. We may be able to get to the top 5, but I'm not sure any of those guys can get to victory lane from that far back.
And keep in mind, we've got the caution clock in the mix as well to keep the crew chiefs honest, so we'll be keeping an eye on that as well. Eric Jones has won this race the last 2 years. We've got 2 former winners in the field tonight. Let's get ready and fire them up.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the NASCAR Foundation and the Ronald McDonald House in Des Moines, please welcome tonight's Grand Marshals, the Lair family, as they give the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
They first raced the trucks here in 2009. Mike Skinner won that race. Who's going to win tonight? Find out next. Sun starting to set in Newton, Iowa. It's a great night to be at the racetrack and a great night to be in front of the television watching the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. And take a look at the Camping World track description with Michael Waltrip.
This isn't your average, ordinary short track. I'm talking speeds of close to 160 miles an hour on the straightaway. You can see 12 to 14 degrees of baking in the turns. That means it's variable. Guys can run high, guys can run low. And did I mention in my opening, we got to get these front tires to stick. We got to get these cars turning, or these trucks turning, and that's the challenge these teams face.
Let's take a look at our Camping World race analysis. This race is 200 laps, 175 miles. Our caution clock will come on around 49 to 50 laps. That's 20 minutes of green flag racing. Our fuel window otherwise is somewhere between 80 and 90 laps. And last year's winner, last 2 years, was Eric Jones.
Let's check out tonight's starting grid, presented by Shell Rotella. A couple of young guns on the front row. John Hunter Nemechek, his first career pole. Cameron Haley seeking his first career win.
Ben Kennedy doing double duty, making his Xfinity debut tomorrow here. Qualifies in the second row.
And there's William Byron in row 3. Let's check. I know this kid. Let's check in and see how he's doing. Hello, William Byron. It's Michael Waltrip up in the FS1 booth. Do you copy, friend?
Yeah, 10-4. I got you.
It's been a heck of a summer from you. You graduate from high school, you've won a couple of huge NASCAR races, and you got a chance to win another one tonight. What's going to be the key to you getting to victory lane?
You know, I think just keeping some track position, having good pit stops, and good restarts on my end. We've had a fast Liberty University Tundra all weekend here, so hopefully we can just stay up front, try and get a couple restarts and key moments, and get another win.
All right, man, have fun. We can't wait to watch you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Take a look at the rest of the starting lineup. Herman Quiroga all the way back there in row 13. Bit of a surprise.
Yeah, he's our track record holder here.
And a couple of ladies in the final row. Speaking of ladies, let's check in on pit road, and we've got Hermie Sadler and Caitlin Vincey down there. Let's begin with Caitlin. Hello, Caitlin.
Hello, Vince. Well, you guys were talking about some strong competitors who are starting deeper in the field. One of those guys would be Daniel Hemrick. He qualified 18th. Now, he's got 4 consecutive top 10 performances, but I was talking with his crew chief, Chad Kendrick, and he told me, we are getting tired of these top 10s. We want to win races. We've had speed every week. We led laps at Charlotte and Texas. Just haven't had the finishes to show for it. But the good news is their relationship between driver and crew chief, very strong. He said, we are like brothers. And he gave a little extra incentive to get the win tonight. He says, if this team wins, I'm buying every guy on the crew a brand new set of golf clubs. Hermie?
Well, Caitlin, a lot of drivers, veterans, race winners starting deep in the field here at Iowa. Flip side of that, we've got some young guns and even some rookies with some great qualifying efforts trying to get their first win. Look at some of these drivers: Cameron Haley, Ben Kennedy, Brandon Jones, Ben Rhodes, all qualified in the top 10. These drivers see this race as a great opportunity not only to get that first win, but potentially give themselves an opportunity to race for a championship. We'll see how they hold up under the pressure, under the lights here at Iowa.
Thank you, Hermie. Let's take a look at our onboards.
We're going to ride along with Jordan Anderson. He's in the Columbia, South Carolina, famously hot Chevy, and he will start from the 26th spot.
There's Timothy Peters, position 19 in the Red Horse Toyota. 5 of his 10 wins have come on the short tracks. He's an ace on these little places.
We're going to ride along in the Ford on board of Daniel Hemrick. He's in the Oakmont Management Group Ford, and he starts for the 18th spot in Brad Keselowski's Ford.
P17, the Aris Toyota for Daniel Suarez, 24 years old, from Monterrey, Mexico.
We have 2 former winners in the field. Matt Crafton won in 2011. Timothy Peters back-to-back 2012 and 2013. A couple of drivers scored their first career wins here at Iowa. Austin Dillon and Ryan Blaney. We'll see if one of these young guns can add their name to the list tonight. The pace car is off, and we are ready to go racing. John Hunter Nemechek leads him to the line. Green at Iowa. Nemechek holds the lead. Cameron Haley trying to work the outside, getting pressure underneath.
Remember, air pressure way down on these things to start this race. 3 wide already.
That's that variable banking we spoke of. These trucks can run on the high lane and still have grip. That's what makes this place such a fun track for the drivers.
How about Ben Kennedy holding strong inside? Haley can't get around him on the outside. Slips up a bit. Kennedy's going to get second.
I tell you, Ben Kennedy is walking around as we watch another 3 wide battle. Really about 3 feet off the ground here. He's having a great weekend so far.
Check out that move around the outside. Nick Drake making it work up top around Johnny Sauter and Ben Rhodes, who are side by side.
Good battles all over the track. 2 wide, sometimes 3. Matt Crafton in the bright yellow Toyota trying to work his way up, currently in 11th.
Yeah, and that's a truck I'm going to be really interested to watch tonight, Vince, because during the practice, during the daytime, he just wasn't fast. He wasn't one of our better trucks. No one mentioned Matt Crafton as a guy they'd have to beat tonight, but we know how smart he is, Phil, and how talented he and Junior Joyner are, his crew chief. They have got this thing set up to run at night. I believe it'll be fun to watch him march to the front.
Good battle for 5th right here. That's Brandon Jones at Menard Chevrolet on the inside in the 71, and Kaz Gralla, the 24 for GMS, on the outside.
Kaz Gralla, just 17 years old, gets the position. Gralla making his 3rd start here tonight.
And remember, when you're watching these trucks run side by side like they are throughout the whole field here, it isn't just a given that they can make it through the corner side by side. There's enough grip there, but when you really force yourself to the inside and run right tight next to another truck, the one on the bottom has a tendency to get loose. We could see wrecks.
And we talk about this racetrack being a short track, and it certainly is, but all the crew chiefs and the drivers say it races like an intermediate track, and that's really where that shows up when you get loose on the bottom.
Well, heck, speed's close to 160. I mean, this classifies as a short track because it's less than a mile, but man, there's no short track near my house that's this fast and this crazy.
Keeping an eye on Crafton in that 88. Mention a former winner here. He's already won twice this season. They came with an experimental setup. Said they made wholesale changes after the first practice, but they stayed true to the experiment. They feel like they've already secured their spot in the chase. They're working for a championship down the road.
Yeah, we documented that throughout our 2 practice sessions as well as qualifying, and they felt like it was promising enough that they stuck with it as we watched Daniel Suarez grab a spot from Rico Abreu.
Suarez up to 16th with that pass.
So far, I haven't seen a whole lot of progress out of the outside groove. Nick Drake made it work on a move, but that outside groove hasn't come in yet. We'll have to follow that and see as the sun sets where these trucks settle in at.
How about the sun as they drive in to turn 3? An issue, Michael?
Yeah, it's real challenging. You've got to work closely with your crew chief and your team to make sure you get enough shade on that windshield so you can see.
John Hunter Nemechek started on point, and he's led them all so far early at Iowa. 13 laps in, NASCAR Camping World Truck Series from Iowa Speedway in Newton, Iowa. John Hunter Nemechek has led from the beginning, but battles all over the track. The 49 of Nick Drake might have gotten into the wall a little bit just before we came back, as you see out the back view of Daniel Suarez.
Yeah, we had a report that he might have got up against the safer barrier. The 51 of Suarez just was able to get by him just a few moments ago.
Tell you what I'm seeing so far, Phil, you really need to make ground by running very low on the track. The guys that are able to cut through the center of the turn, as you can see on the top of our screen there, Drake scrubbing that outside wall. It just seems like that lower groove is the best groove right now.
And a lot of the crew chiefs told me, Michael, that they feel like there's not that much give up as we watch another view of the 49 of Drake getting into the outside wall. The tires don't give up that much, so you really don't have to search around for more grip because there's a lot of grip with these tires on the bottom of the racetrack.
Drake, a 20-year-old rookie from Mooresville, North Carolina, finished 16th at Dover in his only start this season as Timothy Peters works on the inside on board with Peters, 2-time winner here at Iowa.
Yeah, this is a good time for Nick Drake to go to school on Timothy Peters. I guarantee you Peters will be driving toward the front. The wins he's had here, like you said, Vince, and also the fact that he just gets it done on the smaller tracks and he moves around Drake. Drake can go to school, watch his line, and try to learn from him.
Peters' crew chief, Shane Huffman, was the crew chief for Brandon Jones here last year. They finished second together, and with Peters being a 2-time winner, they've been really happy with their race truck throughout the course of this weekend. They didn't qualify very well. Reason to be alarmed?
Well, I think there is a little bit of reason to be alarmed because normally a short track is not like the intermediate mile and a halves. You know, I think when you qualify well, that shows you have a really fast truck. And usually you don't see a lot of guys that have a fast truck in practice not qualify well. So they just haven't had the speed that they were looking for. But Shane told us that we really have to get a win here the next week or two because we're going to go to Gateway next week as we ride along in this Ford onboard of Daniel Hemrick without any Cup guys here.
Hemrick in 18th. That's Caleb Holman just in front of him. Holman qualified into the top 12, made the final round of qualifying earlier this afternoon.
He's dropped back to 17th and runs ahead of Hemrick there. And there's the damaged truck of Nick Drake. I don't think it did much anything terrible to that truck, Phil, but he scrubbed that wall a long time along the front straightaway.
He did. He stayed up on the top of the racetrack. He's trying to make that outside line work. Caleb Holman's only 3rd start this year. Had a great top 10 finish earlier this year at Atlanta, and that is his 2nd best finish of his career. He finished 8th at Martinsville last year.
John Hunter Nemechek still comfortably out front of Ben Kennedy. Kennedy running in 2nd in that 33 truck. More on Kennedy with Hermie.
Vince, solid run so far for Ben Kennedy into 33. Just a couple races in with new crew chief Joey Cohen. A lot of change within this race team, but a really solid effort so far. Qualified 3rd, running 2nd. Started off this run a little bit on the tight side. The truck would not rotate through the center of the corner, but the last 5 or 6 laps, the gap between he and leader John Hunter Nemechek is stabilized at right around 1 second. But so far, Ben Kennedy quiet on the radio.
These guys are getting ready to start catching lap traffic, Hermie, and with the lower groove being the key so far to running fast laps, it'll be interesting to see how they're able to work through it. You can see Tyler Young here right on the bottom of the track. That means that Nemechek's going to have to make a different run through that corner.
Caution clock approaching the 10-minute mark. You see it up in the left-hand portion of your screen. If that clock gets down to 0 without a caution, then we will see the caution flag when that caution clock expires. 10.5 minutes remaining.
These front two have really been matching lap times lap after lap. But last couple laps, though, Ben Kennedy has been the quicker of the two trucks. John Hunter Nemechek had to make his way around that 0-2 truck.
And that's Derek Scott Jr. I said Tyler Young, but that's Derek Scott Jr. in that 0-2. And he did a nice job holding a steady line and giving the leaders a chance to work through that. But you can see already Kennedy able to close right up on Nemechek during the traffic.
25 laps in here at Iowa. After this commercial break, NASCAR Camping World Truck Series racing from Iowa, presented by Shell Rotella, continues on FS1. We'll be right back. It's picture perfect in Newton, Iowa. NASCAR Camping World Truck Series racing from Iowa Speedway, presented by Shell Rotella. Along with Michael Waltrip and Phil Parsons, I'm Vince Welch. Glad to have you with us tonight. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. 200 laps around this 7/8 mile trial. And we are 32 laps in, and John Hunter Nemechek has led them all from the pole. Scored his first career pole earlier this afternoon. Started on point and has taken care of business from the very beginning. For more, let's go downstairs with Caitlin Vincey.
Well, Vince, certainly it's been a strong weekend for John Hunter Nemechek here at Iowa. Got the pole, has led every lap so far in this race. I spoke with John Hunter earlier, and he told me his notebook of experience from past races he felt like was going to really be beneficial to him this weekend in terms of knowing what line he liked, also where his lifting points are. Now, he hasn't said much on the radio in the early goings of this race. He's been pretty quiet, saying his truck is just a little bit snug. Now, this team already has a win back in Atlanta, but right now looking good to potentially get another one. Hermie?
Well, Caitlin, another one of these young drivers having a solid performance tonight so far. The 24 of Cass Growler qualified in the top 5, currently still running in the top 5. The truck's a little bit on the tight side to start. Starting to work a little bit of lap traffic. He told me before the race, I feel confident in my team, confident in my ability, but things getting off and on, like getting off and on pit road, not making a mistake behind the wheel, as all the things he's worried about. So we'll follow this caution clock and see if Cass can do as good on pit road as he's currently doing on the racetrack. But so far, so good for the 24 team.
Absolutely, Hermie, as we see some good action back in the pack a little bit. The 4 of Christopher Bell in 7th. That's Brandon Jones right behind him in the 71. Finished 2nd here a year ago. And Johnny Sauter lurking, ready to pounce.
Yeah, Christopher Bell's made a nice start here. He's gained 6 spots since the initial start of the race. He's qualified outside the top 10, Michael, up to their 7th spot now.
They just lapped around Casey Smith in that 07 truck. He's making his first start in a truck. A lot of guys come to the short tracks field so they can get a feel for these things and understand what the speed of these Camping World trucks is all about and how they handle in traffic, and it's just a great learning experience for the young racers.
But as you mentioned, the speeds here are really phenomenal. I mean, we see speeds higher than we do at some of the bigger racetracks that we go to, like the Phoenixes and the mile racetracks at Loudon.
Guys, we talked earlier about the fact it's a 7/8 mile oval, but it has so many characteristics of a 1.5-mile track, and with those speeds makes it a little more difficult to pass. And we're seeing some of that play out here in the early stages of this one.
Yeah, and the guys say the aerodynamics are very critical here. Normally, you go to a place like Martinsville short track, aerodynamics not all that critical, but they certainly are here like they are on an intermediate track.
And that's a real challenge on this racetrack because it's so bumpy. Down in the corners, especially 1 and 2, there's bumps there, and so you can't just have your nose pinned to the ground. You've got to have some mechanical grip built into your truck so that you're able to get through those bumps. Look at him moving around there.
Yeah, good look at Ben Rhodes in that 41 truck. Member of the Thor Sport team, a Ford truck team that averted disaster earlier this week when their shop caught on fire in Sandusky, Ohio. 100,000 square foot shop. Almost completely destroyed the facility. They were able to get some of the equipment out, including the trucks for this race. So they're okay for this race, even though they've had to work out of the parking lot earlier this week. They're going to have to go home and be displaced and not be able to work out of their shop. But they're really going to feel the pinch a few weeks down the road when they are counting on some of the trucks that should be being built in that facility right now.
Yeah, what a tough break. But the entire industry has jumped to their aid and said, anything you guys need, just let us know, as we watch Christopher Bell with Kyle Busch Motorsports try to go underneath that 24 of Kaz Grala. Ben Rhodes was able to use a lap truck to get by Kaz just a few laps ago, and Christopher Bell's trying to do the same thing to take over that 6th spot.
Yeah, the 17-year-old Grala, that's just everything he sees. He's seeing it for basically the first time. And the way the aerodynamics is moving his truck around, and the lap truck didn't allow him to cut to the bottom of the track like he had been before. Oh, trouble!
Parker Kligerman in the 92, heavy damage on the front end. Kligerman up in turn 3, slid all the way around down almost into turn 4.
Almost.
You can see there the left rear tire's down. Maybe, yeah. Austin Wayne Self loose on the bottom like we talked about, got into the left rear of Kligerman, and it wasn't long before that tire went away.
Probably either damaged that tire or the valve stem, and that tire probably deflated, and nothing Parker could do with that truck when that happens. There it goes right there. That left rear tire goes. You can see the carcass come off, and it swings around. It's pretty hard with the safer barrier driver's side.
Both those drivers trying to keep from going a lap down, as John Hunter Nemechek was right there on them. So the leader of the race was right with those two, Parker Kligerman and Austin Wayne Self. Got through unscathed.
And the caution clock was ticking down, so they were really fighting to try to stay on the lead lap and catch that caution.
Yeah, they felt that sense of urgency. They wanted to stay on that lead lap. We can see Parker moving around the truck. That's certainly a good sign. You just hate those driver's side impacts, Michael, like we saw Parker's truck have.
And this is a tough blow for this team as well. They are already a very small team, and we're debating whether or not they were even going to be able to make it to the track next week at Gateway. And this is certainly not the way they wanted their day to end in regards to what that might do for their chances next week in St. Louis.
Yeah, such an outstanding start to the season for this team. Parker started out Daytona with a 3rd, then paired that up with a couple 8th place finishes in the next 2 races, and then it unfortunately hasn't been quite as good since then.
Kligerman was running 21st. He's trying to avoid going a lap down. John Hunter Nemechek has been your leader from the very beginning. He's led all the laps from pole position. As mentioned, that caution clock was ticking down, and we were going to see a caution shortly, one way or the other. And
Phil, would you say there's about a 49 lap window, 49, 50 laps?
Yeah, somewhere in that range. So we were within 5 laps of that caution clock coming on. So as far as strategy goes, that's not really going to affect these teams that much, because they're going to pit within 2 or 3 laps of when that caution clock would have come out.
Austin Wayne Self, the 20-year-old from Texas, he just did what we talked about, Phil, down on the inside, having to try to force the issue to stay on the lead lap, got loose, and unfortunately, Parker Kligerman paid the price for it.
you know, one of the interesting characteristics of this track is the way pit road is curved, and some of the teams will actually be pitting along the curvature of that pit lane. What kind of challenges does that create as we get ready to watch our first round of pit stops?
Well, obviously there's some calculating you have to do for your pit road speed, because these teams take it right to the last 1/10 of a mile an hour in order to make sure they maximize the speed on pit road. And then secondarily, just the vision, the view you have when you come to your pit. You really want to make sure you got a clear look at it. And the crew chiefs, they study really intently this pit road from one end to the other, making sure if they've got the first choice, they pick the perfect pit box.
And the spotters a lot of time will count the drivers down 10 pits away, 5 away. But if you get around that corner, that's pretty much out of the view of the spotter. So the crew chief will have to take over at some point. But the last 5 or 6 pits are really out of the spotter's view down there.
And you know, Vince, it's interesting as a driver, I've done it a long time, how confusing it gets on pit road. You know, you see all these signs there and all the boxes one right after another. You've got to really focus and make sure you hit your box right, not only because of just being legal and inside the box. You want your team to be able to maximize those tire changes and do all they can to get you out faster. You've got to do your job getting there first.
You get too close to the pit wall, they can't get the jack around to get it jacked up quite as quickly. Obviously, we've seen so many guys go over that front line. They have to take the time to back the truck back up to try to get in their pit box before they can do their pit work.
You know, we were talking a little bit about the situation that the ThorSport team has been in this week after the fire. Matt Crafton his team running a decal representing all those that have helped them. And here's some video and some different pictures from the battle of the blaze and the aftermath and what this team is dealing with to try to recover.
Yeah, that's the first thing I saw Monday morning was this video of this fire, and I said, man, that couldn't be good. But here's some of the pictures that they shared with us, and they were talking about brand new trucks. That was probably a brand spanking new truck there, Michael, just getting ready to go to be put together, and you could see all the damage to it. It looks like a tornado went through there, doesn't it?
Yeah, Ben Rhodes and that 41 team, the 98 of Rico Abreu, they've had a fair amount of equipment torn up already this season, and they had some trucks in the works. Ben Rhodes, in fact, had a brand new truck ready to be used at Kentucky here in a couple of weeks, completely destroyed. And that's why they felt like they're able to get the things out that they needed to do to get here. They needed to get out to get here this week. But they really feel like they're going to feel that pinch here in a couple of weeks, maybe when they roll into Kentucky.
Well, we know that the industry will support them and do all they can to help them get to the racetrack. And just want to wish a happy birthday to Duke Thorson, the owner of that team. It's his birthday, and we're thinking about you and know the challenges are going to be great, but what an organization you put together, and when things get tough, that's when you lean on who you are.
You know, it's interesting as we talked to members of the ThorSport team today and how they spoke of Duke and Rhonda Thorson and how they would have it no other way but to stand up and fight and to recover and to
build it better
and win races.
Yeah, and build it better. They're going to build it back better is what they were talking about. Yeah. But they've been in a series so long, and they've been such a great organization and a great family in this series since, gosh, back in the mid-90s, almost at the very beginning.
You can see that left front tire on the 88 truck. We get a view of it from the side. It's been rubbed on. He's gotten into somebody during the early stages of this race, so it didn't go flat like we saw happen to Kligerman. So I know Crafton and Junior Joyner, Phil, this hasn't been a great start for them. They're back in the 10th spot. They've got to have some adjustments, A, but then B, this track cooling down could play right into their hands as the track changes and the temperatures cool off. Maybe that wakes that 88 truck up.
Yeah, if pit road is finally going to be open, they've cleared Parker Kligerman's truck here. I don't see right now anybody trying to do 2 tires. I think we need to work on these trucks, make some adjustments, put 4 tires on, and see what kind of balance we have.
Here they come.
John Hunter Nemechek leads them down pit road, and Hermie Sadler will be there to greet them. Hello, Hermie.
Thank you, Vince. We just mentioned the 24 of Kaz Grala. Very impressive. Only his 3rd career start in this series. He held his own in the top 5 until the last 3 or 4 laps under green. Truck was too tight through the center, lost his forward drive. They're going to put 4 tires, Sunoco fuel, make a track bar adjustment and a wedge adjustment on this truck as well. The 33 of Ben Kennedy, he was tight center and exit, especially in 3 and 4. Caitlin.
Well, William Byron was last week's race winner, currently holding down the P3 spot. He told his team, I'm a little bit free all over. I start off free and I stay free. They're going to do 4 tires, fuel, and an air pressure adjustment. Looking at John Hunter Nemechek, he said he's a little on the snug side. They took 4 scuff tires and raised the track bar on that A truck.
First round of pit stops in the books. We're a quarter of the way there. 50 of 200 laps. John Hunter Nemechek, he's led them all. First round of pit stops have come and gone at Iowa Speedway as the sun prepares to set. 200 lapper here in the 7/8 mile in Newton, Iowa. What a beautiful weekend we've had. Of course, the trucks here tonight. Tomorrow it'll be the Xfinity Series. Great place to be and enjoy the racing. Daniel Suarez in 14th position. Issues, Hermie?
Got a couple issues, Vince. His truck is too loose, and apparently he's losing some of his water as well.
My legs and my shoes and everything is all wet. Seems like the water bag for some reason broke or something.
So he'll need some water on a pit stop and to get his truck tightened up to make his way to the front, Vince.
Keep an eye on that situation.
Vince, I'm going to be interested to see. I mean, this track is going to about now go through a pretty serious transition. We can see turns 3 and 4 already really shaded. The teams have come to pit road, got an adjustment, and how the track will play into that adjustment. and who's able to drive forward from here on.
And did they adjust for what they had before? Did they adjust for the weather change?
John Hunter Nemechek, the control vehicle on the inside. William Byron on the outside, back racing at Iowa Speedway.
Good start by Byron. They're 3 wide behind them. Wow. They make it work somehow. Byron sticks on the outside.
How about William Byron with the lead?
Cameron Haley and Ben Kennedy 2 wide for second. Byron's going to stretch it out, get around the corner, and William Byron is going to lead for the first time here tonight.
I was talking to William this morning. I said, how was that second group? He said, I think there's a lot of grip there. He said, I'm not sure we're going to need to be up there, but there is some grip up there in that second group, and he made it work.
That's where he went to get that lead. And I know the spotters and the teams along pit road are making a note of that. He took the lead from the high side. As we have restarts later in the going, the leader will have to look at where they choose to restart.
There's Suarez. We just heard that radio with some issues with the handling of his truck and also the comfort inside with the water being spilled inside.
Good move by Peters to clear, to dive to the inside. And I was going to say clear Brandon Jones, but he wasn't quite able to do it. Peters has got some damage to the left front of his Toyota. What's he done?
Probably something on the restart. I didn't notice it before the caution flag came out.
It's Brandon Jones on the outside of Peters. Kaz Gralla taking a look inside. That's 13th, 14th, and 15th. Gralla, there's more contact with Peters.
I think that was the right side of the screen.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
And that's just moving up. And you know, as a driver, you have to make a decision. Do I think this kid knows I'm here? Or is it worth my putting my nose into that small space in order to grab that spot? Or should I just back out? That's the decisions you're faced with a lot throughout a race on a short track.
Johnny Sauter and Christopher Bell for 9th and 10th. Good view of it out the front window of Daniel Suarez.
Yeah, the racetrack is definitely getting faster. 3 of our top 5 have run their fastest laps since this restart.
And we're starting to see trucks choose the outside line, that second lane.
See the momentum that Johnny carries off turn 2 from the high side.
Christopher Bell looking to the bottom. Daniel Suarez trying to recover from kind of a tough start, but he's gained some spots now. I like the way that truck looks. He's able to peek to the bottom. Watch how low he is right there, right against the yellow line.
Yeah, just outside the top 10 after starting back in the 17th spot.
Christopher Bell trying to recover from last week's heartbreak. Missed a shift at the initial start of the race. Didn't even complete a lap before they had to take it to the garage at a race that they thought they were going to contend to win. Instead, they finished last. Came with a little extra motivation this week as Ben Kennedy has gotten around John Hunter Nemechek for second.
Yeah, they had a great side-by-side battle, much like this one right here that Sauter and Christopher Bell are having.
Sauter trying to clear Bell and finally does. Suarez taking a look at his teammate just ahead of him.
So good to see that Daniel Suarez go to victory lane at Michigan last week. and what fashion he went to victory lane.
We've tried to cheer him to victory lane here in the Camping World Truck Series on a number of occasions. Been second 4 or 5 times, I know, and just nipping at it. Couldn't quite get there. Another kid that's been fast since he showed up, Ben Rhodes. Ben Rhodes looking on the inside of Tyler Reddick. Hermie, what's Reddick's team saying about that truck early in the going?
Well, Michael, they've been really working hard on the race truck. The balance of it, especially trying to get him where he can rotate through the center of the corner and also keep his forward drive. That's kind of been the issue with the 29. He just dropped back to 7th, but they're certainly better making their way to the front from qualifying well outside of the top 10. Another truck on the move coming towards the front also is that 00 right there, Cole Custer, working with Marcus Richmond. Marcus told me yesterday he only had about 4 hours to work on this truck to do what he wanted to get prepared for tonight's race, but he's up right now up to the 5th position and working his way forward. He got 2 loose on that first run. That got him a little bit snugger on this second run, Caitlin.
Well, William Byron is making his first truck start here at Iowa Speedway, and he told me just before the race, he said, I think some of these tracks that I first time in a truck have been some of my best for me. I don't have any preconceived notions about what to expect. Now, they did win the race last week. He said this takes a lot of pressure off of us. We have a lot of limited nervousness when it comes to approaching these races. Now, right before that restart, his crew chief, Rudy Fugel, told him, be very aggressive on these restarts, and that's exactly what he did. Took the leads and still leading 66 laps into this race.
I think that's one of the things Rudy Fugel's been most impressed with in his young driver, William Byron, is his ability to be patient when necessary and his ability to be aggressive when necessary.
Yeah, he just doesn't make any mistakes. I mean, they maybe didn't get the finishes in Dover. He dominated that race, got a little bit behind in traffic, and the truck didn't handle quite as well. Not when it wasn't out in clean air, but he has made so few mistakes. But that's really indicative of how his entire career has gone. This is only his 4th year racing anything, and he just wins a lot of races and doesn't make any mistakes.
And that Rudy Fugel-led team, they did their job on pit road, picked up a spot, put him on that front row, and gave him a chance to go out there and grab the lead on that restart. Very aggressive move.
And remember, Rudy Fugel was the crew chief for Eric Jones last year, and they won the championship. He basically took this championship team from last year and moved it over to the 9. We're seeing it front and center. Back at Iowa Speedway, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Lap 75 of 200. Take a look at our Ford facts.
12 top 10 finishes this year and 25 combined starts. Our best finish, we mentioned earlier that Parker Kligerman had that 3rd place run at Daytona, and Daniel Hemrick got his career best finish at Kansas. But Hermie, right now it's been a bit of a struggle for Daniel Hemrick. He's back in 17th.
Yeah, Phil, he started 19th, 18th, up to 17th. Caitlin talked about before the green flag how frustrated this team has been with top 10 runs, looking for more and thinking they can achieve more. But tonight it's been really a struggle. The truck has been loose basically from the drop of the green flag, especially center of 3 and 4 off of 4. Just cannot get the throttle down. They got a couple more shots at it on pit road, but right now that truck is stuck in 17th position and is not moving forward.
Yeah, Hermie, I talked to Chad Kendrick after practice, and he said we fought loose the entire time, and apparently they're still fighting that. And he said they didn't really see that coming because this is the exact same tire that they ran last year, and they didn't fight that at all.
I think with the groove being so low, that makes that move that this young man, William Byron, made on that restart so much more impressive. We haven't seen anybody make any ground on the high side, and he was able just to drive around that high side and take the lead away from Nemechek and has driven away. Ben Kennedy has picked up the charge now, trying to catch Byron. You see Ben there. He's driven away from John Hunter as well.
Impressive run for Ben Kennedy here this weekend. Lost his crew chief. Well, he's worked with, what, 3 different crew chiefs in the last 3 races.
Working out pretty good right now.
Yeah, I would say maybe just keep switching them up week to week.
Well, 4 if you count his Xfinity ride that he's running here this weekend.
Yeah. Worked with Marcus Richmond last week, and then Marcus moved over to the 0-0 of Cole Custer. Joey Cohen working with Ben Kennedy this weekend.
Kennedy laps around the outside of Scott Jr., kid from Texas, making his first start.
Kennedy really works hard, watching videotapes, works on his fitness, studies the role of the driver and what you need to do. And it's what you got to do these days, isn't it?
That's what it's all about. When Phil and I were growing up racing cars, the only experience we got was when we went to the racetrack. That was the only way to gain knowledge. But now there's so much technology's gone into video games and simulators that gives these kids a chance to race all the time, 24/7, and that's what the top guys are doing. You can see Ben Kennedy, Travis Popple, Suarez, and Brandon Jones. They get to race today and tomorrow. And when you're a young kid, that's what it's all about. Let's race every day.
Yeah, some of the manufacturers have actual simulators now. And we're not talking about video game simulators. We're talking about real simulators. And I've heard that a lot of people have learned a lot, especially some of the drivers. When they get to a new racetrack, it's not really new to them.
Cameron Haley running 4th, getting some pressure from Ben Rhodes. Let's get more on the 13, Caitlin.
And Vince, he's one of the drivers still looking for their first Truck Series win. And I was speaking with his crew chief, Eddie Traconis. He said he's such a mature kid for his age. I forget that he's 19. He's very professional, a non-complainer. When there's little mistakes from the team, he stands behind us. And he said every week he's at the
That's a good point, Caitlin. And Haley was telling me that he feels like if they just clean up some of the mistakes that they made last year, 3 wide, too tight, somehow makes it through. Maybe that would have been one of the mistakes they would have been looking to avoid from a year ago. But if they can get those mistakes cleaned up, he believes they're going to run consistently in the top 5 and then eventually win a race.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me a bit.
William Byron, 31 laps out front after he took the lead from John Hunter Nemechek at Iowa. Maybe the next superstar in the sport, 18-year-old William Byron. He's already won twice this season in the Truck Series, and he is out front again in a dominating fashion tonight here at Iowa. Approaching the halfway mark, you see our caution clock under 4.5 minutes. John Hunter Nemechek led the first 53 tonight. More on that story with Caitlin.
I'm joined by his crew chief, Jerry Kennan. Jerry, is John Hunter happy with the truck and with the caution clock winding down? Do you think you're going to need to make some changes to it?
Well, right, we were a little tight to start with right there, and we freed it up a little bit, maybe a tick too much, and that set of tires is probably the worst Max said, as they say. So we get them out of the way and we save our last 2 here. We'll be fine, though. It's time to go here in a minute.
Thank you, Jerry. Herbie.
Joey Cohen is the crew chief on the 33. Your guy's been solid in second, but you are chasing one truck. A caution may be coming soon with the clock. What changes do you need to make on the 33 to give Ben a shot to get out front?
Yeah, the wheel well Chevrolet Silverado just used to be a little bit freer. We put stuff on there that step. We're going to put stickers on. I think we're going to have to be a little bit tighter with those stickers. Track's obviously got shade on it now, so we're going to have to think about that and adjust for that accordingly. But Ben's really happy with the truck. The crew's done a great job, so we'll keep fighting it and we'll get up there eventually.
Going back to stickers on the 33 next stop.
Good information, Hermie, as we see that move for third. Ben Rhodes, boy, he has been on a rail.
He is a rocket right now, man. I've watched him closely. That truck works really well down on the bottom of the track. The 19-year-older from Kentucky has driven up to the 3rd spot. And Phil, the veteran in the top 5, 24-year-old Ben Kennedy. All the rest of them are teenagers. Our average age of the guys running the top 5, about 19. It's amazing how quick these kids come here and know what they're doing.
It is, and you would think that once you get in the race, they would really struggle. As we see Matt Crafton trying to gain another spot on his teammate Cameron Haley. That's a battle for the 6th spot. But what they lack maybe in experience, you know, their crew chiefs have that experience, and they get the trucks where they can drive them.
And that's a 40-year-old veteran, 2-time champion Matt Crafton driving around a teenager from Canada. So there's no rhyme or reason, as we've talked about before, where these kids come from and how they're able to do on the track. It's just that natural ability they have behind the wheel to get the job done.
And lap truck of Tommy Joe Martin's just ahead of Crafton. Meanwhile, there's Johnny Sauter in the 21, Tyler Reddick in the 29. That's for 8th.
Yeah, it looks like Johnny's truck's getting better right now. He's on the move. He's able to get by the 29 of Reddick to take over that 8th spot.
Caution clock under 2 minutes.
And with the temperatures cooling down and the shades here all the way around this racetrack, and we're seeing Crafton. He's one of the guys that struggled a bit early. He's marched his way up to 6th now. Just keep that in mind. He's going to get another adjustment from crew chief Junior Joyner and be a part of the story up at the front.
You know, it's funny, Michael, you know, historically we talk about when the racetrack cools off, a lot of times that front end grips more and these trucks get looser. But the trend this year, the crew chiefs were telling me, is the trucks have been getting tighter, although that's been a different type tire. This is the same tire we had last year, so I wonder if that trend is going to go back to these trucks getting looser.
And look at the battles we have here. There's Reddick down on the bottom. He's made his way to the top 10, but Suarez is trying to get around teammate Christopher Bell. These trucks are so evenly matched. You just got to jump. Anytime you see an opening, any chance you get, you got to stick your nose in there.
And we saw Ben Rhodes do that around his teammate. Now he's driven out about 4 seconds ahead of that teammate.
Caution clock under 1 minute.
There's the battle for second. Rhodes has made his way all the way to the tailgate of Ben Kennedy.
Just about one more lap before we see the caution flag for the caution clock. Give these guys another opportunity to come in, make some more adjustments as this racetrack cools off.
Well, this is a place, too, where your pit crew can gain you some extra spots as well. Remember, John Hunter Nemechek, for instance, his truck is pitted by the 48 Cup crew of Jimmy Johnson. So these guys are as good as it gets in the Cup Series, and then you bring them down to the Truck Series, they can gain you some spots. Maybe it makes the difference between where you start on a restart and eventually whether or not you win the race.
Yeah, that clean air is really, really important. You can get your driver out front there for that clean air.
Caution is out.
I would like to go on record as saying I'm a big fan of the caution clock. This race had gotten strung out. There's a bunch of crew chiefs down there with those brains just spinning. How are we going to adjust our trucks so we can catch up to Ben Kennedy, William Byron, the guys 1-2 in this race? These adjustments could be the key. The weather changing. So many things are going to go on during this caution.
This is the 8th race of the season, and it's the 4th race in which we've had the caution clock actually come into play. It came into play a couple of times at Atlanta, twice at Kansas, once at Charlotte, and then here tonight for the first time on lap 104.
William Byron had opened up about a 5-second lead over Ben Kennedy. Ben Kennedy was under fire from Ben Rhodes, so going to be really interesting to see what kind of adjustments these crew chiefs make. And I think right now we know that Ben Rhodes' truck is really, really good on the long run, but it needs to fire off a little bit faster to maybe make up some of that ground earlier.
The way William fired off on that restart, they all got their work cut out for him, and if he can do that again. But what does he do now, Phil? He has been running right on the bottom of the track. Say he gets off pit road first. He knows how he got the lead. Does he then go back to the bottom for this restart? Those are the decisions that have to be made.
I think you take the outside and use that outside like you got to pinch that inside truck down on, and obviously if he can win the battle off the pit road, then he's going to be the control truck. He's the one that sets the pace. He goes first.
Look how beautiful this facility is. Man, I love coming to Iowa. It's just such a great racetrack. Rusty Wallace did a nice job of working with the folks that built this place to give the racing surface the character it has, but then just the way the stands are built and the amenities for the fans. Nice places to tailgate and hang out. This is a perfect place for a racetrack.
And you know, Rusty said at the time he was building it, and Rusty was doing television work, and he said, and I'm going to make sure that television booth is nice, because he's been in some of these booths where they were really small, and I got to say it's about as nice a television booth as we have anywhere in the series.
Attaboy, Rusty. Attaboy, Rusty.
Well done, Rusty. Hey, the pits are going to be open. We heard from some of the crew chiefs about the changes they were looking to make, so as they come to pit road, let's crank it up and watch the pit crews go to work here at Iowa.
Get away. I see you. Start looking left. Get away. Hold away. So he's coming to your right side. Get away. 7, 5, 4, 3, 2. Right there.
William Byron, first one off pit road. John Hunter Nemechek, we were just talking about his pit crew, gained him a couple of spots.
Talked about how intense that trip to pit road is. You could really feel it there, couldn't you?
The intensity continues when we return to Iowa. Tomorrow, the rising stars of NASCAR are here in Iowa for Xfinity Series racing, featuring a special guest announcer, Larry McReynolds. He's going to be in the booth to call the action with Adam Alexander and Michael Waltrip.
It's going to be a big Father's Day. Can anybody beat the Gibbs cars? 1, 2, 3 qualifying again.
Well, there's a lot of talk about the one car of Elliott Sadler being the guy that might could do that.
Xfinity racing tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern on FS1, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Caitlin?
Well, William Byron was very happy with his truck. He told the team, it's pretty much perfect, make no adjustments. So they didn't. They put in on 4 tires and fuel for Ben Rhodes in the 41 truck. His crew chief, Kevin Bellicourt, told him the sun going down is fixing your lateral grip issues. Save your truck. Your lap times are 2/10 better than the leader. So they did 4 tires, fuel, and an air pressure adjustment. For Matt Craft in that 88 truck, he too said the track is changing. My truck is doing better up high in turns 1 and 2. They did a track bar adjustment and put on 4 fresh tires, guys.
Thank you, Caitlin.
William took the outside, Michael.
Yep.
I like that. It worked the last time.
Yeah, I think so too. Against the same driver on the inside, John Hunter Nemechek.
So William Byron, the control truck on the outside with John Hunter Nemechek on the inside. They're the only two who have led racing laps tonight. Back under green at Iowa.
Look how hard Nemechek drives it down in the corner.
Can he make it stick? William Byron on the outside.
That strong run off turn 2 is what got Byron the lead last time.
Carries the momentum and takes the lead. William Byron's got it.
Wow. It appears as though you can stay even through 1 and 2, but getting into 3 is where you really gain on the outside.
That was another power move. These restarts are difficult too, Phil. You got to hit your gears just right. You've got to make sure you don't drive down into turn 1 too far. You know, it's just so much that goes into it. To see a kid 18 years old have that kind of poise and that aggression and make it work makes me think that he's got something special in his truck.
The 33 of Ben Kennedy came in second during that pit stop. Came out 7th.
8th, I believe.
8th, so lost 5-6 spots on that pit stop.
I think got one of them back here on the restart.
What happened down there during that stop, Hermie?
Issues for the 33 on the left side. When they came around, the right side was pretty good, Vince. They came around to the left side. The jack man missed the jack post on the left side of the truck. But watch the stop comes down. Right side, pretty good. You can see the right side coming off. Right side tires back on. Watch the jack man as he comes around to the left side. And when he puts the jack underneath the truck, it slides off the tag. You can see it right there, that slight bobble. Both left side tire changes had to check up for just a moment. Cost the 33 valuable time on pit road.
Yeah, look at the comparison on the stops between Ben Kennedy and William Byron. That's a difference maker.
Yeah, that almost 4 seconds equated to losing 6 positions on pit road.
You know, used to you'd think we need a green flag pit stop. We got to be perfect. But nowadays, the competition's so tight, you can lose 4 seconds on a green flag stop maybe and only lose a couple of spots. You lose that much on a caution stop, you're going to drop.
And it was a great recovery by the jackman after he missed the jack stop, but it still cost him 4 seconds.
On board with Daniel Suarez. That's his teammate Christopher Bell just in front of him. Suarez 12th, Bell in 11th. Ahead of them is the 00 of Cole Custer. Really, Bell made a nice kind of march up into position, gained about 6 spots in the early stages of the race, and that's kind of stalled out right there around that 10th position.
Yeah, drove up to about the 7th spot, it seems like, but hasn't quite been able to match that.
Cole Custer with some damage there on that inside of the left.
Yeah, Timothy Peters as well. We saw contact that took Parker Kligerman out of the race. Matt Crafton had a bit of contact, rubbed his left front tire. So we've got some close racing here at Iowa.
Yeah, Timothy stayed on pit road to try to repair that damage on this most recent caution flag. So he lost all his track position. Right now he rides back in the 19th spot.
Good battle here side by side. That's Brandon Jones in the 71. Finished second here last year. Rico Abreu tucks in right behind him. 15th and 16th. How about that run Rico had last week at Texas?
So impressive. Really proud of Rico and the job he did. He's been getting better and better and better. And Matt Crafton has kind of taken him under his wing and really helped Rico and really interested in what goes on. And I know Matt was proud, although not really happy, but proud when Rico drove by him there late in the race last week at Texas. But unfortunately, Rico got into the outside wall trying to get by William Byron.
And, you know, we saw Rico move to the high side at Texas and really take advantage of that. He's a guy that likes to search around for the groove. He knows his experiences in dirt racing. He knows there's more grip in other parts of the track. But, Phil, I don't think that's working for him tonight because I've seen him up off the bottom trying to make that top work, and it just isn't happening. And every time he goes to the bottom, it seems like he loses ground, as is happening here with Timothy Peters.
Well, look at the repair work done on the front end of that 17 truck of Peters. As you guys mentioned, some issues when had to take some extra time in the pits to repair.
Yeah, he and Kaz Gralla got together right after the first restart we had.
Peters is another truck that has spent most of the time up in that second groove and hasn't been able to make much progress forward. Currently running in the 17th position in the 17th truck.
William Byron, a 2-time winner this season. Most recently, last week at Texas, also victorious at Kansas, a couple of mile-and-a-half tracks. We talked earlier about, even though this is 7/8 of a mile, has characteristics of a mile and a half.
Yeah, and had zero experience on mile-and-a-halves coming into here.
Yeah, you thought that was going to be the weakness of his game, right? It was pretty darn good. Hey, we're coming back to Iowa, just past the halfway point. William Byron continues to lead NASCAR Camping World Truck Series from Iowa Speedway. Byron has been out front 74 laps, make it 75. He took the lead on a restart from John Hunter Nemechek, who led the first 53 laps from pole position. One of the fastest trucks on track is that 41 of Ben Rhodes. He has been on the march, but it's just hard to get around Cameron Haley.
Yeah, track position's been so critical. We saw him make a 3-wide move before the most recent caution to get by Cameron. Then he was able to drive away from him. He's got a really, really fast truck, but it's been extremely hard for these guys to pass.
Johnny Sauter is in 6th. More on Sauter with Hermie.
Yeah, Vince, they've been really fighting this truck pretty much the entire race. Lap 6 at the beginning of this race, Johnny called into his crew chief, Joe Shear, who he's been reunited with, and he said, this truck is plowing, especially center off. And although they've made small gains to it, he's back up to 6. Certainly not rotate through the center and exit like Johnny needs for it to run up front. They'll have one more shot on pit road probably to get this right, but they've been fighting a tight truck since the drop of the green flag.
3 straight top 5s for that 21 of Johnny Sauter, and now working with longtime crew chief Joe Shear Jr. again.
You can see Ben Rhodes is really heating up Haley, and that is allowing Matt Crafton and Johnny Sauter to sneak up into this battle. So tight racing for positions inside the top 5.
Yeah, I think right now that Ben Rhodes' truck is definitely better than Cameron Haley's, just like it was before that most recent caution flag, but just not able to get by him.
And that's so frustrating as a driver, because you just do your best to get that left front fender. You could see there Rhodes just wants that left side fender in the fresh air under Cameron Haley, so he can try to get a little bit more downforce, so he can make that corner better and pull up alongside on the straightaway. But you're talking about a technical job. You've got to be right on your game to make that work. And you can see Rhodes is there, but he can't finish the job.
Cameron Haley really wants to protect that 3rd place position. It's been a bit of a struggle over the past month or so. They don't have a finish inside the top 15 the last 4, and their level of expectation is so much higher than those results. More on the 13 and 41 combination. A couple of ThorSport trucks with Caitlin.
Well, Vince, the 41 spotter just telling Ben Rhodes, the Cameron Haley spotter telling him, I think the 41 is backing up his entry and making time on you, so you may want to try that. And now, as we can see, Ben Rhodes starting to make a bit of a pass on Cameron Haley to take that spot.
Got to be careful down there on the bottom, Caitlin. That's a slippery slope when you dive hard inside the corner there. But he pulled it off. That 41 truck can go up there and do something with our leader, William Byron. He just needs more speed at the initial green flag, Phil, so he doesn't fall so far behind.
Yeah, right now he's over 4 seconds behind. He's been able to match Williams' lap times pretty much when he has some clean racetrack. Let's see if he's able to drive away from that 13 of Haley now and what he might do to catch William Byron.
And look who's coming into the picture. The old crafty veteran. Crafton, the crafty veteran. He will be a part of the... He'll have something to say about who wins this thing before it's over.
It's a battle for 10th right there. Cole Custer, the 00, has it. Christopher Bell, the 4 truck, moving around a little bit, trying to find some grip out there. Now he's going to switch over to the inside, may be able to drive right by Cole Custer here in a battle for 10th.
Daniel Suarez right behind these two, watching, seeing if he can sneak into the top 10.
Bell completes it.
Well, it seems like about 30 laps into a run is when the tires really have enough give up that the guys that have the good trucks are able to make some passes then. But it takes about 30 laps to do it seems like.
Good view from Daniel Suarez's Toyota truck as he closes down on Custer.
Here's a look at the Thorsport group. How about that? 3 trucks in the top 5. Everything they've been through this weekend, and they said they were coming to win here this week, despite the fire at the shop and having to work outside in the parking lot and all the things that they have gone through. 3 in the top 5 with 60 to go.
They're racers, Vince. You know what I mean? They're just racers.
And over the last 5 laps, the fastest truck has been Ben Rhodes.
William Byron, 86 laps led, the most ever for him in his young career. A beautiful night in Newton, Iowa. Iowa Speedway, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Here's tonight's race summary, presented by Shell Rotella.
And it includes a lot of William Byron.
Yeah, 93 laps now. He's been, trouble. Kaz Gralla into the outside wall, along with Rico Abreu in the 98.
Gralla on the outside, the 24. Rico in the 98. And they are both under power, which is a good sign. Right here just on the front stretch, just before the start-finish line. And a lot of debris coming off that 24 truck. The caution clock was down under 5 minutes.
Kaz was running in the 16th spot and Rico in the 18th spot.
Doesn't look to be much damage on the left side, a little bit there in the left rear.
Yeah, the right front could be the issue. I know the tire's flat, but it looked like he might have slapped it there.
Yeah, he stayed on the lead lap so far. That tire can certainly do a lot of damage because it can wipe out brake lines and
and that sway bar,
brake ducts, sway bar arms.
Dragging, he just gets loose down on that bottom. It had the truck turning well, which is a key to success. Oh, look at Peters. What a great job, huh?
They made contact, but Timothy was able to maintain control.
Watch it from Peters' viewpoint.
This is as good as it gets right here.
It's going to be scary here.
5 minutes. Keep it high.
He gave him all the room he could possibly give him.
And you can see Rico, he just saw the crash ahead, tried to turn to the bottom. That tells you how loose these trucks can get. If you've got to make a quick move, you got to get away from you in a hurry.
There's the rear end damage on that 24 GMS machine. And the left rear down on the 17 truck of Timothy Peters as well.
Yeah, that's where Kaz got into him as he was spinning.
Timothy, some nights it's just not your night. 2-time winner, talked about him. Half of his truck series wins have come on the short tracks, and he had contact with Gralla early. That's who damaged that left front of his, and then Gralla spins and he messes up his left rear.
Extra frustrating, I think, for that 17 team, because they came in here really believing that this was a race that they were going to contend to win.
Yeah, they certainly did. We talked to Shane Huffman, the crew chief, at length, and they really felt like they had something for him. And this is going to be the money stop here. Everyone has one set of tires left, one new set of tires left. This is going to be it here. The caution clock will not come into play anymore because it would run out inside 20 laps to go. So this is going to be it, guys.
It's loaded up on the teams. They know they've got to get their man back out and keep their track position. And in the restart, it's going to be intense. I mean, they know that this is the chance they got to pounce. No one's going to beat William Byron if he gets out to the lead in this amount of laps unless they make the perfect adjustment. But Matt Crafton has raced his way up into contention. And I can't wait to watch these guys line up and go do battle.
We saw Jordan Anderson on board there. He got the free pass with his caution.
That's a good run for Jordan. That famously hot
Columbia, South Carolina Chevrolet.
That's a great sponsor, isn't it? Famously hot.
Pit road will be open this time. This is the money stop, guys.
Coming to 50 to go. Let's check in with Hermie as they come to him.
Johnny Sauter's truck is way too tight. He wants his crew chief to take a big swing out of it. But Joe Shear says we're going to try to do it with air pressure. We do not want to spend too much time on pit road. We need track position. The 33 of Ben Kennedy. His team is also looking to make up some spots on pit road. 4 tires, Sunoco fuel for the 33. Caitlin.
Well, William Byron, the race leader, pretty happy with his truck overall. Told his team it started tight and stayed tight through the run. So they're going to do an air pressure adjustment, 4 tires, and fuel for the 9. For the A truck of John Hunter Nemechek, he said the other trucks seem to take off better than I do. I am too free to start, but it comes to me late. They're also going to do 4 tires, fuel, and an air pressure pressure adjustment on all 4 tires.
All right, Phil, how about a little strategy here in Iowa? Let's mix this thing up. What do you say?
Hey, it's hard to pass, so let's get some track position. Let's change 2 tires on this money stop here.
A lot of people had that same plan, and it's going to make this restart even more fun.
Strategy. We'll see how it plays out at Iowa.
Unbelievable.
Wins in Atlanta.
Can't thank everyone enough.
Today, Kyle Busch wins at Martinsville.
A day that we've been looking for a long, long time.
William Byron will win at Kansas. What a thriller.
We finally won here. Oh, my God. I never thought it happened. You guys are the best, man.
Matt Crafton wins at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
2 in a row, boys.
And his second career win, William Byron, victorious at Texas. Byron made a statement in this race as well. He's led 97 laps, but after that last round of pit stops, a number of trucks took 2 tires instead of 4, playing the strategy game with less than 50 to go.
We had to change it up.
And Tyler Reddick is now in the lead.
Yeah, and right behind him is Ben Kennedy, and that's one fast truck. He's been up front all night long, and now he's got a chance to pounce. Get on the outside maybe and grab the lead.
And now the 8 of John Hunter Nemechek, after that pit stop, came back to pit road, checking the lug nuts to make sure they're all on. Caitlin, did they hit one there on that left rear?
On that left rear, you're right, Vince. They only had 4 lug nuts on that left rear tire, so they had to come back down pit road for 5 lug nuts. Now you see John Hunter Nemechek currently shown P20 on the leaderboard.
We talked about that being the money stop, Phil. You had to have the perfect stop. Nemechek's team had a lug nut missing, and NASCAR mandates that there's 5 lug nuts on each wheel.
And as good as that truck's been, Michael, he cannot win this race now.
No.
We're less than 50 laps to go. He lost all his track position. He's going to restart in the 20th spot. He can't win now.
He came out 6th. And having to come back in to get that extra lug nut put on that left rear. He lost 14 spots.
And most of the trucks in front of him had only changed 2 tires. He may have been the first truck with 4 tires.
William Byron is back in 9th position at the end of his pit stop. They dropped the jack, and William didn't go. I don't know what his issue was, but he didn't go. So now I'm wondering, Phil, you talk about dominant trucks, fast trucks winning the race. I don't know if William can win from the 10th spot. Can he get up to the front from there with those fresh tires as fast as that truck's been? He's only going to have 45 laps to do it.
Yeah, Nemechek would have been the first truck on 4 tires. Wow. So a costly mistake, not getting a lug nut on that left rear, having to come back in, and now we'll restart in that 20th spot.
There you see Ben Kennedy down on the inside. He's got the pole position. Whether he's able to get the lead away from Tyler Reddick or not, it'd be interesting to see.
We've seen the outside line be the preferred line on these restarts. We'll see if Tyler Reddick can make it work. Pace truck will pull off. It'll be Ben Kennedy on the inside, and Tyler Reddick will be that control vehicle on the outside. Kennedy can't fire before Reddick. Reddick's got to be the first one to fire as the control vehicle in the restart zone, and he does. But back racing at Iowa.
Kennedy did a good job.
How about Crafton jumps down to the inside of John West Towling? No room.
Look at Ben fighting back on the bottom of the track.
Reddick making it stick for the lead, but Kennedy not giving up quite that easily. He's diving inside, underneath.
That 33 truck has been strong for Ben Kennedy. Good battle for third. We've got Brandon Jones, the 71, Cole Custer, the 00.
William Byron has made it up 3 spots on the outside. Oh, takes
got a little contact.
Got hit by John West Townley, but he's up 3 spots already around the outside, Phil. So maybe that truck has the speed to drive on the high side. We haven't seen anyone else do it.
I think Ben Rhodes right now needs to get up there and get away from William Byron as much as he can. It looks like he may have had the second best truck here tonight, but he needs to get away from William Byron.
While we watch this great racing, I want to tell you that the restart, we've been told from NASCAR, the restart is under review. Doesn't necessarily mean between the first 2 cars. It could be someone a little bit further back in the pack, but the restart is under review. We'll update you as soon as we've been given final information.
Ben Rhodes was able to clear the 00 of Custer, guys.
That was a big move for Rhodes. He's got to march away from that 9 truck. You can see Byron trying to look to the outside and make a run on Cameron Haley. But Brandon Jones occupies that part of the racetrack. Nowhere for Byron to go right now, and the laps just keep clicking off.
He may try to make it 3 wide as they exit the corner here. They get single file in front of them.
Haley 5th. Jones 6th. Byron 7th. Spencer Gallagher in that blue and yellow, number 23, trying to work inside of Matt Crafton, taking a look.
I like where Rhodes is right now, Phil, up ahead. He's running in the 3rd spot. We haven't seen Reddick have the power to stay up front. He kind of phased during a run. Kennedy's been good, but Rhodes is right there, the best truck other than William Byron. Byron makes work of Brandon Jones there, grabs that spot away. He's up to 6th now.
What Reddick has right now, though, is clean air. Nobody in front of him. He really hasn't had that tonight.
We told you the restart was under review by NASCAR. They were taking a look specifically at that front row. Tyler Reddick and Ben Kennedy in the restart zone. Did Kennedy fire off before Reddick? He wasn't allowed to do so. Looked like maybe he spun his tires a little bit, but they said the restart was clean.
Yeah,
no penalty.
I would have called that good as well. Here comes Ben Rhodes, that 41 truck. He doesn't need to take a whole lot of time with Ben Kennedy. He needs to try to make that pass right away.
We know Rhodes is a young, aggressive racer. We saw him dive to the bottom at Kansas, remember, and got loose down there. Caused the crash, and now he's in a position to dive to the inside of Ben Kennedy, but he's got to make sure he learned from what happened at Kansas and don't put himself in jeopardy of spinning out.
He put 4 fresh tires on in that pit stop. Let's see if he can make them work now.
This is a big race for Ben Kennedy. He's 3 points outside of the chase line right now. So if coming into this race was 3 points outside the chase line, whether he wins or finishes very strongly, that could be enough to get him back inside the top 8 and into a chase spot with 8 races to go until the chase begins.
That's why I really like the way that 41 truck looks. He's able to hold that left front down, Michael, like you were talking about before.
And Ben Kennedy's having to drive the laps of his night to try to hold off. How about that?
3 wide with John Hunter Nemechek in the middle. Take a look at it from Daniel Hemrick's viewpoint. Coming up on the 17 of Timothy Peters.
You don't think the 8 truck of John Hunter Nemechek's on a mission, do you?
Ben Rhodes is up front and says, I got issues here, but he doesn't have issues like this. Look at this gaggle of trucks just battling side by side, running into each other.
And these are positions with 34 laps to go. Now 17 of Timothy Peters fighting back on the outside. Has his teammate Armand Carrogo, the 11, right in front of him.
Look at that strong run by Peters off the corner. He's able to pull back ahead of Nemechek.
Peters got all kind of damage on that left side, left front, left rear. Still trying to make up spots. Currently 15th as we ride on board with a 51 of Daniel Suarez.
Battle for 7th right in front of them. Matt Crafton's trying to take over that 7th spot from the 71 of Brandon Jones.
What's happening with that 88, Caitlin?
Well, Vince, they had a rough stop, a slow stop last time on pit road. The over-the-wall crew member who makes the chassis adjustment ended up turning the wrench the wrong way, so he had to go back over the wall to redo it. So it was a slow stop for the 88 team. He's currently P7 on the leaderboard.
Suarez is coming.
Yeah,
he's heating him up, isn't he, Vince?
Getting some pressure from Daniel Suarez, that's for sure. Suarez hasn't really been much of a factor tonight, but all of a sudden maybe seems like he's found the sweet spot in that truck.
Oh, loose there. You can see him just really fighting that truck off the corner, but does a nice job of laying off of Matt Crafton. There's battles all over this racetrack.
We talked at the very top of the show about some good trucks qualifying outside the top 10. Tyler Reddick was one of those trucks that we talked about, and here he has the lead by 0.4 of a second over Ben Kennedy with just 31 laps to go.
And right behind this battle, Spencer Gallagher.
3 laps to go. 30.
Watching Daniel Suarez trying to grab that spot away. Watch Matt Crafton get loose, and this just opens the door perfectly for Suarez.
Watch it from the 51 viewpoint of Suarez.
Boy, Suarez had to be on his toes there. Had to back off the throttle and keep from running into the 71 of Brandon Jones, and he takes that spot from Crafton.
Suarez moves up to 7th, but it's Tyler Reddick in the lead, Ben Kennedy in 2nd, and the 41 of Ben Rhodes in 3rd, looking inside for 2nd.
Remember, it took Ben Rhodes' truck about 30 laps to really be one of the fastest trucks on the racetrack, but he has 4 fresh tires. The 2 trucks in front of him only had right side tires.
Rhodes has been one of the fastest trucks all night long, but just hasn't really had the track position to stretch it out.
Tyler Reddick right now is loving Ben Kennedy, holding up the progress of that 41 of Ben Rhodes.
It's going to be a thriller to the finish at Iowa. Don't go away. Less than 30 to go.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
Caution on the racetrack with 22 laps to go. Tommy Joe Martins and Derek Scott Jr. both laps down.
A lot of damage to that Diamond Gusset Jean Chevrolet for Tommy Joe Martins. A lot of fluid down on the racetrack as well.
Significant contact here, and Tommy Joe Martins obviously upset. It's a very small budget team, and the last thing they needed was to damage their race truck. They go through so much just to be able to get to the track each weekend. And you can see his frustration with someone. He and Derek Scott Jr. were both at 24th, 25th, 26th positions, hanging around in that spot.
Yeah, they were laps down, but they were battling, and I don't know if Scott had his truck get away from him and make some contact. We'll see what we can tell here. Looks like he just drives into the corner really deep and
just runs in the back of him.
Martins didn't expect that for sure. And
Jordan Anderson's on.
63. Got one spinning at the top, spinning at the very top. Bottom. You're good.
So it looked like the 0-2 of Derek Scott just got into the back of Martins.
Nothing Tommy could do at that point.
Martins, you could see the frustration and the damage. Not the way he wanted his night to end.
Jordan Anderson will get the free pass and back onto the lead lap now. That's 2 free passes for Jordan. He finds himself just outside the top 20. There he is in his famously hot Columbia, South Carolina truck. This kid just really works hard to get a chance to race a truck. Got an opportunity to have an onboard camera. That's pretty awesome. Look at him in there relaxing, knowing he's on the lead lap, try to charge up and get a top 15 finish out of this night.
Yeah, we talk about the temperature, and obviously the temperature going down, but it's still hot in those trucks. These guys really put a lot of effort into this race here, this 200 lapper.
Here's tonight's race recap presented by Shell Rotella.
Early on, Parker Kligerman gets run into by Austin Wayne Self, cuts down his left rear tire. Hard contact with a safer barrier for the 92 truck of Parker Kligerman.
More contact, Timothy Peters and the 24 of Kaz Gralla. Little front end damage for Peters. Those two would also get together later in the race. A little contact on pit road. Everybody trying to get their position. Cole Custer taking some left side damage. And then Kaz Gralla spins and again catches Peters, this time on the left rear.
Peters does an amazing job not wrecking that truck after that contact. Got the pit road, fixed the flat tire. He marches along in 14th position. I think that truck's decent, Timothy Peters, but he just can't get anywhere because of all the issues.
This was a big moment in the race as John Hunter Nemechek left pit road, but had to come back because they only got 4 lug nuts on that left rear. So instead of restarting 6th, he restarted 20th. And then the contact between Derek Scott Jr. and Tommy Martins.
Yeah, the bad part about John Hunter Nemechek is he was going to be the first truck with 4 tires in 6th position, had to come back in, restarted the race in 20th. He's made his way only back up to 15th so far.
He's going to have around 15 laps to try to race his way into the top 10, and that's going to be a difficult task as well. He's just got so many great trucks in the truck series that they're not just going to lay over.
Yeah, and this restart is when it's going to happen now. Whether it's going to be Ben Rhodes or William Byron make a move, the restart is when it's going to happen. You're going to have to really throw caution to the wind, whether you have to make it 3 wide. you have to do whatever you have to do to try to get some spots on this restart.
Ben Rhodes has been one of the best trucks all night long. Let's see what they've got in store for these final 19 laps, Caitlin.
Thank you, Vince. Well, it's crew chief Kevin Bellicourt with me now. Now, Ben and Kevin have had a lot of success here at Iowa in the K&N series. How's the truck, and what do you think you got for the 2 trucks ahead of you on this restart?
It's really good. We all fire off pretty even. The 9 can just take off, but once about 20 laps gets in, there's nobody that can really run with us. I'm not exactly sure what a heat cycle is going to do, but we're the highest truck up with 4 tires, so I wouldn't want to be sitting anywhere else right now, and that kid's pretty hungry in that truck, so it's going to be pretty exciting.
Thank you, Kevin. Hermie.
Caitlin, Doug Randolph is the crew chief for Tyler Reddick. You got your driver out front with 2 tires, and you told him this is about a spot in the chase. Does he have the truck to hold him off behind him?
Yeah, I think so. It's all about these last race restarts. He's doing a great job out there tonight. Pit road guys have done incredible tonight. Just got to execute these restarts, track positions, everything. So we just got to hold it.
Getting down to crunch time, Vince.
You know, it's interesting. At this time of year, last year, this was a time that Tyler Reddick was struggling with shifting. He's left-handed and he has to shift right hand. They really struggled with it at this point. He's going to have to do some shifting on this restart when we come back. Coverage of the 116th U.S. Open Championship from historic Oakmont Country Club continues tomorrow morning. They finish the 3rd round play beginning at 7 a.m. Eastern. You'll see it on FS1. And then it's final round coverage starting at 11 a.m. Eastern on Fox, or you can watch it all on Fox Sports Go. Play suspended by darkness. Shane Lowry, your leader by a couple of strokes, was on the back 9, so he'll finish up 3rd round play tomorrow morning.
Yeah, leaders have about 4 or 5 more holes to finish up in round number 3.
Watch Dustin Johnson make a double bogey today and bounce right back on the next hole, make a birdie. That's how you put that behind you, and he's still in contention.
Rory McIlroy 3-putted from 3 feet today.
Tough conditions.
Those
there
greens are slippery.
I've done that before.
I've watched you do that before.
How did you recover from that, Mike?
I went to the next hole and made a triple.
I was going to say you bogeyed the next hole, but
attaboy.
Yeah, I'm going to keep hanging in there, though, Vince. I ain't no quitter.
Nope. You don't get better if you quit.
I lost 462 races in a row once, and I never quit.
Thank goodness, huh?
Yeah, my brother Benny said they should make prisoners play that game.
But I love the coverage on Fox, man. It's been so much fun watching the U.S. Open. The Fox team does such a great job.
How about everything we've had on Fox? We've had the U.S.
What
Open.
a weekend, huh?
We've had the U.S. Open. Of course, we've had all the racing. We had Le Mans. We have Copa America. I mean, it has just been incredible. And we've got UFC tonight after our broadcast here from Iowa. It has just been a fantastic sports weekend.
And we start up again at 7 a.m. in the morning.
Yep. And I just want to tell you, we're going to go red, it looks like here. We've got some grease down in the corner. The fight, the UFC fighting night's going to be intense, but we've seen how important these restarts are. These young kids understand that they got to go, and they got to go hard as soon as the greens is thrown. I say this turns into a UFC battle. These guys bouncing off each other. I don't think we've seen our last caution flag.
I don't know how we can have this restart with as much as on the line without having another caution flag. There's going to be contact for sure.
Just like the crew chief said, a chase spot is on the line. You know, if you're able to prevail through these last 16 laps and get to victory lane, you're going to race for a championship in the fall.
That's not a good sign.
No, that's a lot of water coming out of Rico's truck right there. It might have been okay if he would have kept circulating around the racetrack with the fan going and pushing some air through the radiator, but he's losing a lot of water right there. He may have to come to pit road. He's still on the lead lap right now, currently shown in the 18th spot. There's only 21 trucks on the lead lap. So, you know, the problem is when it stops, when the water stops coming out, could mean it's out of water.
Yeah.
So let's reset the scene here with 16 laps to go. We're under red because of the fluid on the track, so they want to get that cleaned up after the accident involving Tommy Joe Martins and Derek Scott Jr. Martins certainly took the worst of it, that's for sure. So working on that, also some grease on the track, so they want to make sure and they get this cleaned up for the stretch run to the finish.
But now, Phil, what's this do if you're Tyler Reddick in this restart? You don't want to be on the outside in turns 1 and 2, I don't think.
I don't think so.
NASCAR does a great job of cleaning up this mess, but if there just isn't that much grip there anyway, and then you add the stage ride that's put down there, I think maybe Reddick will have to look at being on the bottom.
I think he has to feel it out because they will restart this race under caution, single file. He can feel it out up there, and if he feels like there's going to be some grip, then he may elect to do that. If not, then I think you're right, Michael. He's got to pick the bottom.
We just saw the fluid that the 98 of Rico Abreu had put down on the track. They've told Rico to pull down off the track now, so he has done that. You guys were talking about the restart. Where do you choose? Do you choose the outside? Do you choose the inside? Let's go back and take a look at the not the initial start of the race, but the first restart past the caution, and William Byron on the outside. John Hunter Nemechek chose the inside. He thought that was going to be the lane, but Byron ends up beating him and taking the lead, and that's something we've really, it's kind of been it's turned the tide throughout the course of this race and which lane the leaders have chosen tonight.
But right there, William Byron ran right through where that stay dry is down there in turn 2 now. So whether Tyler Reddick, like Phil said, when they ride around under caution, he's going to check it out and see what he thinks. I believe that Reddick is going to have to take the bottom, and that might open up the door for Ben Kennedy just to throw a Hail Mary. We've already said what all's at stake. We're going to go down in there and pretend it's going to stick at least. Might make it an interesting decision for Reddick here.
Well, we were supposed to be off the air tonight at 9:30. The race obviously running a little bit long, and you can currently watch the action of the USC Fight Night on FS2. And it will follow us immediately as soon as we finish up here tonight, currently under red with 16 laps to go.
But I love that NASCAR and the track officials decided to throw the red flag. Let's do all we can do to get that racetrack clean, where they're going to have 2 lanes to choose from, where Tyler Reddick may be able to choose the outside without fear of that thing being slick.
We're going to come back and finish it up. It has been action-packed throughout the night. It's not going to be any different when we come back for the finish at Iowa. Under red at Iowa, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. 16 laps to go. An accident involving Tommy Joe Martins and Derek Scott Jr. A lot of fluid on the track. Rico Abreu overheated, left some fluid on the track as well. So they've got them all stopped in turn 4 and down the front stretch. Good crowd on hand tonight.
Yeah, it is.
Gone from red to yellow. That's a good sign. Let's check in downstairs with Caitlin.
Thank you, Vince. I'm with William Byron's crew chief, Rudy Fugle, one of the teams that elected to take 4 tires on that last pit stop. How's the truck, and what do you anticipate to see on this restart?
The truck's still handling really good. You know, Liberty University Tundra's been good all night long. We just we got different strategies going on. So looking at the left side tires, I didn't think we could do that. You know, I thought we would have passed them by now. So hopefully we get it back here on this last restart and get the win we think we should deserve here.
All right, thank you, Rudy. They're already 2-time winners so far this season. Hermie?
Well, Caitlin, Marcus Richmond is the crew chief for the 00 of Cole Custer. Your team has battled hard tonight with a loose race truck, but now you got your driver up front with 2 tires. How is his truck, and does he have a shot when we go back green?
Yeah, the Haas Automation Chevrolet has been, you know, up and down tonight. It's all about track position. We got some track position earlier tonight, and we could maintain really good, but then we lost a little bit on pit road. So we decided to take 2. I think once it, you know, after 5 or 6 laps, it levels off for everybody. So Cole's done an awesome job tonight. You know, we're working hard on getting this thing turned around, and I can't wait to get to Gateway and can't wait to get to Kentucky. You know, just keep building on this 00 truck, get it better and better every week.
That's Cole Custer. He'll restart 4th.
Thanks a lot, Hermie and Caitlin. We were red for 5 minutes and 46 seconds. Back under yellow.
And when we throw the green, these drivers' eyes are going to go red. They got to go. They know they got to pounce. And I'm thinking, Phil, this is going to be intense.
Oh, if they're not 3 wide when we go through 1 and 2, or certainly on exit on number 2, I will be shocked. Going in 1, I think we're going to be 3 wide. And that's when you're going to, the race may be won on this restart.
They're lining them up.
Reddick's going to take the outside. He had an opportunity of driving through that old drive. You can look at it from here at our broadcast position. The racetrack looks pretty darn clean up there.
Clint Boyer, one of the Cup drivers, he raced a truck race at Kansas earlier this year, and he said, you know, them boys are crazy. I said, I know, isn't it great? That's what we want. We want to see people just going for it, and we get that every time they line up these truck races.
It's going to be a dash to the finish. One of these guys, will they get their first win tonight? Well, Ben Kennedy's going to get this restart on the front row. Ben Rhodes will be in the second row. Cameron Haley not too far behind.
He's in the top 5. We've got 3 of those drivers right there in the top 5 here tonight with just 13 laps to go when we restart.
Tyler Reddick, a 2-time winner in the series, scored those 2 wins last year. But Ben Kennedy, who will start on the inside, has never won and looks to score that first victory tonight.
This is the biggest restart of his career right here. Kennedy did a nice job of putting himself in a position to run side by side into turn 1 with our leader Reddick.
Tyler Reddick on the outside. Can he make it work? Can Kennedy get inside of him?
Ben Rose jumped up in front of William Byron. Now William jumps back down to the bottom of the racetrack.
Reddick in the lead, but here comes Cole Custer around the outside. Custer for the lead over Reddick.
How about Cole Custer? How about Ben Rhodes 3 wide?
Rhodes to the bottom. Reddick getting shuffled out. Custer trying to make it stick on the outside. Rhodes on the inside for the lead.
Here comes William Byron. He's going to jump to the outside of Reddick.
Wow, what a battle. Cole Custer making it stick. Marcus Richmond, his crew chief, told us just a moment ago they had the truck now after working on it throughout the course of the night. And he has proven it.
Look at William Byron on the high side. He's able to get around the outside of Rhodes.
He's got plenty of time too, Michael, coming to 10 to go.
And he's got better tires.
Cole Custer bringing him off turn 4. The Camping World 10 to go. Cole Custer in the lead. William Byron in second. Ben Rhodes in third.
Look at that move by Custer. That's so smart.
Look how high he is, though.
He went up and took Byron's line away. And look, it's opened a door on the bottom for Rhodes.
Ben Rhodes going for his first career win. William Byron has won twice already this season. Byron to the lead.
Are any of those guys 20 years old yet?
Amazing job at William Byron. He kept his head while those guys were fighting and trying to block and just drove around.
That is as good as it gets right there. That young man from Charlotte, North Carolina, putting himself in a position to get this win.
Now the battle for second may be the best thing for Ben Rhodes. He can drive away a little bit, but can Cole Custer get back, or for William Byron, excuse me, can Cole Custer mount the comeback?
Ben Rhodes doesn't like anything about that battle for second, Vince, but he's gotten around Reddick, and now he sets his sight on Cole Custer. Oh, caution.
Caution is out.
Oh, heavy damage for Caleb Holman in the 75 Food Country truck. And guys, we're going to have another restart.
Man, I can't get any better than that, can it, Phil? Don't think so. Those kids are all in there. They're all teenagers racing on at 160 miles an hour, side by side, sideways. What a great race.
Caleb Holman pulls it down off the track. And there's a good look at Marcus Richmond, the crew chief on the 00 of Cole Custer. Rudy Fugel for William Byron.
This takes years off their lives, you know what I mean? Off the crew chief's lives. The teenagers, it doesn't bother them.
They said, we did this on the simulator before. It's really fun.
iRacing 1,000 times they've been through this situation. Well, let's go back and take a look at it and how it somehow sorted itself out. Watch this as Reddick gets the pressure on the outside from Custer.
Custer really came from nowhere.
Just open up the gates.
And here comes Ben Rhodes making it 3 wide on the bottom. If he would have been able to clear Cole Custer right here, he might have been in the driver's seat. Not quite able to clear Cole.
He just needed a couple of feet, Phil. But look at the run that Reddick gets. These trucks side by side, they're going to bobble up the hill. And here comes William Byron.
Remember those 4 fresh tires on that 9 truck that Rudy Fugel put on there on his last pit stop. He drives right around Reddick in the 29.
And watch what he does to Ben Rhodes. I know Ben didn't see this one coming.
Remember, Ben had 4 tires as well. We saw William make that outside move work on a restart. He made it work here when it really counted too.
But unbelievable. William Byron, just his 9th race here in the Truck Series, already got a couple of wins. He's led more than 100 laps tonight.
Watch this. Holy cow, it just keeps getting better. You see Custer getting loose. He went up to try to block Byron. He got loose, and it opens the door for Rhodes.
It's exciting even when we watch it back on replay.
Can we watch it again, Mark?
William Byron to the point.
Mark Smith is our producer, Roger Curtis, our director. Those guys, they just roll it. Oh, Roger Vincent, sorry. Roger Vincent.
We brought Roger Curtis from Michigan to help director.
I just love racing. Roger Vincent, our director, just said, it's okay, Daryl.
5 laps to go, and now we have to start thinking about overtime. Possibly.
Yeah, without a doubt. I've been thinking about it since that last caution, because you just knew that action had to pick up.
Yeah, you have to believe that we had contact, just like we saw earlier. Yeah, he's going to point at somebody.
22, it looked like, maybe.
Maybe the 22 of Austin Wayne self.
Look at that damage. And, you know, that's what's so frustrating. We talked to him before the race. They're a small team. They don't have a huge budget, but they come to the racetrack to try to run up front, run in the top 5. And he had a great qualifying effort. And Self got into him, it appeared.
And you're so vulnerable when you get hit going in the corner.
Yeah.
Because you're going in the corner absolutely as hard as you can anyway. You get hit, get turned around. There's no way to save that truck.
And by the way, Phil, 155 miles an hour probably down into the corner.
Yes.
Somebody lifts your rear tires off the ground like we saw earlier with Tommy Joe Martins. It's just you can't control it. And the teams work so hard to build these trucks and get them to the track, and they want to race and hopefully take it home and tune on it and make it better for next week. Don't have a chance to do that to that truck.
The 71, Brandon Jones coming down pit road.
He's going to give up the 13th position.
He's been fast. He's made a lot of passes, just couldn't ever get up there and grab track position. That's what's so impressive about Byron coming after that pit stop and the 4-tire decision, and Rudy Fugle being confused about why they wouldn't just drive by them all. It's hard to pass these guys, and fun to watch it all happen.
It's just amazing how things turn out. If we don't get that caution flag, William was hung back in the 6th position, more than likely not able to make up hardly any ground.
Yeah, and look at Ben Kennedy. He restarted on the inside of the front row for that race restart. I said maybe his most important restart of his career. He could smell victory, but he slipped back to 6th, being trapped down on that inside. See if he can rally now that he's up on the top.
We're coming to 1 to go here as they make their way through turns 3 and 4. So we will not be in an overtime situation if we do indeed go green.
Well, not yet, anyway.
Yeah, not yet. If we do indeed go green, but on this next lap by.
It's going to be tied up late in the game. So that means overtime looms.
All right, Hermie, the 00 sitting second. What's the story?
Vince is going to give it all he's got, obviously, on the bottom line of this restart. But those laps that he led were the first laps that he has led this year that were official. Remember, he led laps at Dover, but those laps were taken away due to a penalty on a restart. So Marcus Richmond has guided Cole Custer to the front for the first time this year. They're just hoping some way, somehow, he can get this done on 2 tires.
Well, and it would be huge for Cole Custer, who currently sits 13th in the chase standings, 23 points out coming into tonight. So a win tonight would secure his spot in the chase and the run for the championship, and that would be huge.
Sure would be. Right now, all William Byron is thinking, let me get gone on this restart here. Let me get win number 3 for the 2016 season.
And all that pressure's on these guys to get the perfect launch. Make sure they get the gas down right. Make sure they hit their gears right and get to turn 1 and 2 and scream through there.
Easier to spin tires when they're hot like this, too.
Rookies sitting 1, 2, 3 right now. The pace truck is off. William Byron, the control truck, on the outside. Cole Custer on the inside. Green sprinting to the finish at Iowa.
It's a shorter angle into the corner on the bottom. You see Custer taking advantage of that.
Byron around the outside trying to get that spot, and does.
A great corner by William Byron.
Rhodes trying to get inside of Haley for 3rd, but William Byron jumping out. The white flag for William Byron. Custer chasing him Can he make up the ground?
Love what Cole Custer did there. He said, give me something. Let me just try something.
You got to try something. Can't just follow in his tire tracks.
2 turns to go for the 18-year-old William Byron. In just his 9th career start, he's going to win for the 3rd time. William Byron wins at Iowa. Rudy Fugle and the Kyle Busch Motorsports team celebrating again. This young driver is putting his stamp on this series immediately.
Just wise beyond his years. He doesn't look like an 18-year-old rookie. He looks like somebody that's been doing this for 10 or 15 years.
And, you know, Phil, right from the start of the race, we knew he was fast, but on that first restart that we replayed, he just jumped to the outside. He didn't care that the outside wouldn't work. He just gave it a run and made it stick. That was impressive. And then he just continued to be fast all night long.
The 6th driver in series history to reach his 3rd win within his first 9 starts.
That's a pretty rarefied air that he's joining as well.
His crew chief is Rudy Fugle, and he's with Caitlin.
Thank you, Vince. Well, Rudy, 3 wins already this season. What does this one mean to you here today at Iowa?
It's special. You know, what a team, what a driver. That restart was something else, you know. We've been talking about it at the shop, you know, we've had some different types of wins. You know, last week was only leading the last 6 laps. This one, you know, besides the first run of the race, we dominated, you know, speed-wise, and that's kind of what we want to get into. When we get to the chase, we just want to know we're the best team. And but he drove it there on the last restart, and this team is great. You know, Toyota, Liberty, it's pretty awesome.
Congratulations. Enjoy the win.
Thank you.
How perfect of a spokesperson is William Byron for Liberty University. Just a special young man, just graduated from high school.
Will attend Liberty University this fall.
And is taking the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series by storm.
But he went down on that restart, went down on turn number 1. Yeah, he probably was far enough ahead he could have blocked Custer, but he didn't need to. He just ran that outside line. He knew he had grip. He'd been there before, and he just drove away.
2nd place, Cole Custer with Hermie.
And what a fight this team put up. It came down to a couple late race restarts. You were on 2 tires. Did you think there was any way you were going to hold off the 9?
I don't know. They were better than us for sure. I thought I could maybe out-muscle them there. I thought I had them, but just didn't have enough. Didn't get a good enough restart there. But can't thank Marcus and everybody enough. They worked their tails off on this thing all week, staying till 11 on the pull-down rig. So they definitely worked their hearts out, and I really appreciate that. And I think we're going in the right direction. Just need a little bit more. I think everybody at Haas Automation, June Motorsports also.
Cole Custer comes home 2nd.
Strong run first race with the crew chief Marcus Richmond. It's a combination we're going to have to keep our eye on this the rest of the way.
Thank you, Vince. I was thinking that same thing. We know Custer's got the talent behind the wheel. They hadn't started off this 2016 season like we expected them to, but I think that's more of what's to come.
Well, one of the fastest trucks all night belonged to the 41 of Ben Rhodes. He's with Hermie.
Yeah, this guy was fast, especially on the long runs. Those restarts maybe didn't play into your favor, but what an effort for your team. Run us through those last couple restarts. Where were you, and what did you need to do differently maybe to have a shot?
Man, that was just really tough. We really needed to be on the outside to keep our momentum up. That's what our truck really struggled with on the bottom. It was just tough. You know, those long runs, we had a lot of speed. I felt like we had the fastest truck tonight. Even on some of the earlier restarts, we were really good. But after we sat on the track for that red flag, it just it didn't do good for our tires. Air pressures went weird, and heat cycle didn't do good for us. But I'm really proud of all of our guys on the Alpha Energy Solutions Toyota Tundra tonight. They have worked their butts off all week after the fire at Thorsport. And, you know, we only had 2 trucks tonight. We only have 2 trucks for the next race. So it's really hard to try to race for a win and have that in your mind. You know, after Kansas this year, we had that wreck, and we were kind of playing it safe for the rest of the races, protecting our trucks and just being cautious at Charlotte, being cautious at Texas. And we had this date circled on our calendar for a long time, but unfortunate the circumstances, but man, it was a really fun race tonight, and I just can't thank these guys enough for all they've done for me.
Ben Rhodes comes home 4th.
Well, let's take a look at the way our chase standings look right now. And how about Ben Kennedy slipping in after coming into this race on the outside of the chase, and now he is that 8th and final position.
Yeah, William Byron getting to victory lane kept some of those other youngsters from locking themselves in the chase.
But I think Cole Custer's served warning to Ben Kennedy, Tyler Reddick, and those guys, and I'm coming. I've got a fast truck. I love my new crew chief. We're going to do some special things.
William Byron's been to victory lane 3 times. He got the first one at Kansas. And we thought, wow, this 18-year-old kid got his first win. That's pretty special. Well, then he backed it up last week at Texas, and he was oh so impressive.
By beating one of the very best we have in our sport, Matt Crafton, late in the race.
And if you thought, well, maybe he got lucky a couple of times. I don't think so. He proved it tonight. The wheelman led 107 laps and takes it to victory lane for the 3rd time.
And you know, I can't wait till Ben Rhodes turns it loose again. Because it looked like to me he was crazy sideways there, but he saved his truck.
William Byron's the winner. He's in victory lane, and Caitlin is there.
3 wins for William Byron in the Truck Series, and back-to-back wins. At that, a big celebration down here in victory lane. William, what is it about yourself and this group of guys behind you that has enabled you to put down those kind of numbers so early in this season?
My gosh, it's awesome just to be part of Kyle Busch Motorsports and have the group of guys I do, to have Liberty University support and have Toyotas under us. It's amazing. I mean, I'm so fortunate to be in this position. You know, we had a couple setbacks there. I stalled it on pit road and had a few setbacks on some restarts, but we kept after it until that last restart. It's awesome.
Congratulations. Enjoy it.
What a special night tonight here at Iowa Speedway as William Byron wins his 3rd race in just 9 NASCAR Truck Series starts.
That's about 33%.
It is about, yes. For Phil Parsons and Michael Waltrip, Hermie Sadler and Caitlin Vincey, I'm Vince Welch. That's it from here in Iowa. Now stay tuned to FS1 for UFC Fight Night.